Welcome to the video, and thank you so much for taking out the time today to hear the word of God. This is part of my daily Bible study where we're reading through the Bible in 6 months. The schedule to read along will be posted in the link description below. So today we're reading Exodus. We just finished Genesis and we're reading through Exodus 1 through 6. On the schedule it says 2 through 6, but don't skip 1, read that as well. And I just want to get into the video. So, Israelites in Egypt. After the death of Joseph, his brothers lived in Egypt and they all died, ending that entire generation. But their descendants, the Israelites, had many children and grandchildren. In fact, they multiplied so greatly that they became extremely powerful and filled the land. Eventually, a new king came to power in Egypt who knew nothing about Joseph or what he had done. He said to his people, "Look, the people of Israel now outnumber us and are stronger than we are. We must make a plan to keep them from growing even more. If we don't, and if war breaks out, they will join our enemies and fight against us. Then they will escape from the country." So the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. They appointed brutal slave drivers over them, hoping to wear them down and crushing them with labor. They forced them to build the cities of Pithom and Ramses as supply centers for the king. But the more the Egyptians oppressed them, the more the Israelites multiplied and spread. The more alarmed the Egyptians became. So the Egyptians worked the people of Israel without mercy. They made their lives bitter, forcing them to mix mortar and make bricks and do all of the work in the fields. They were ruthless in all their demands. So, when you are a part of a chosen people, like the Israelites are, the devil will manipulate. And these other Egyptians, they don't worship the same God as the Israelites. They have false idols. So, let me come to the middle. The devil will work to try and break you down, take away what God has promised, destroy the glory. And as you can see, even through all of that, the people still multiplied and their numbers still grew, even under those harsh conditions of being enslaved. So, the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, gave his order to the Hebrew midwives. "When you help the Hebrew women as they give birth, watch as they deliver. If the baby is a boy, kill him. If it is a girl, let her live." But because the midwives feared God, they refused to obey the king's orders. They allowed the boys to live too. So the king of Egypt called for the midwives. "What have you done? Why have you done this?" he demanded. "Why have you allowed the boys to live? The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women," the midwives replied. "They are more vigorous and they had their babies so quickly we cannot get there in time." So God was good to the midwives, and the Israelites continued to multiply, growing more and more powerful. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this new order to all the people: "Throw every newborn Hebrew boy into the Nile River." But you may let the girls live. The birth of Moses. About this time, a man and a woman from the tribe of Levi got married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen to him. Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the riverbank. When the princess saw the basket among the reeds, she sent her maid to get it for her. When the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This must be one of the Hebrew children," she said. Then the baby's sister approached the princess. "Should I go find one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. "Yes, do," the princess replied. So the girl went and called the baby's mother. "Take this baby and nurse him for me," the princess told the baby's mother. "I will pay you for your help." So the woman took her baby home and nursed him. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, "I lifted him out of the water." So, that's just so miraculous that this child was saved. His mother, in a desperate last-pitch attempt to free her son, left him to God in the Nile River to bring him to safety, and he was brought into safety. You have to know that the idea to put your baby into a basket and set him alongside a river is not something that comes to you without divine intervention. Because how could she know that the princess would find him and save him? Moses escapes to Midian. Many years later, when Moses had grown up and he went to visit his own people, the Hebrews, he saw how hard they were forced to work. During his visit, he saw an Egyptian beating one of his fellow Hebrews. After looking all directions to make sure no one was watching, Moses killed the Egyptian and hid the body in the sand. The next day, when Moses went out to visit his people again, he saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. "Why are you beating up your friend?" Moses said to the one who had started the fight. The man replied, "Who appointed you to be our prince and judge? Are you going to kill me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" Then Moses was afraid, thinking, "Everyone knows what I did." And sure enough, Pharaoh heard what happened, and he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in the land of Midian. When Moses arrived in Midian, he sat down beside a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters who came as usual to draw water and fill the water troughs for their father's flock. But some other shepherds came and chased them away. So Moses jumped up and rescued the girls from the shepherds. Then he drew water for their flocks. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked, "Why are you back so soon today?" "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds," they answered. "And then he drew water for us and watered our flocks." Then where is he?" their father asked. "Why did you leave him there? Invite him to come eat with us." Moses accepted the invitation and he settled there with him. In time, Reuel gave Moses his daughter Zipporah to be his wife. Later, she gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, for he explained, "I have been a foreigner in a foreign land." Years passed and the king of Egypt died, but the Israelites continued to groan under their burden of slavery. They cried out for help, and their cry rose up to God. God heard their groaning and remembered his covenant promise with Abram, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. So God has not forgotten you. You may be going through a time that you feel is extremely hard, grueling, and vicious. People may be treating you so poorly, but God has not forgotten you. You have to turn to God and plead with him so that he may hear your cries, just as he heard the cries of the people of Israel as they were being enslaved. One day, Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, who is Reuel, the priest of Midian. He led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. There, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. Moses stared in amazement. Though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This was amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go see it. When the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush. Moses, Moses, here I am, Moses replied. Do not come any closer, the Lord warned. Take off your sandals, for you are standing on holy ground. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. When Moses heard this, he covered his face because he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord told him, I have certainly seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries of distress because of their harsh slave drivers. Yes, I am aware of their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the power of the Egyptians and lead them out of Egypt into their own fertile and spacious land. It is the land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Look, the cry of the people of Israel have reached me, and I have seen how harshly the Egyptians abuse them. Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You must lead my people, Israel, out of Egypt. But Moses protested to God, Who am I to appear before the Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? God answered, I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. But Moses protested, If I go to the people of Israel and tell them, the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they will ask me, what is his name? Then what should I tell them? God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my eternal name, my name to remember for all generations. Now go and call together all the elders of Israel. Tell them Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me. He told me, I have been watching closely, and I see how the Egyptians are treating you. I have promised to rescue from your oppression in Egypt. I will lead you to a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. The elders of Israel will accept your message. Then you and the elders must go to the king of Egypt and tell him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. So please let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand forces him. So I will raise my hand and strike the Egyptians, performing all kinds of miracles amongst them. At last he will let you go, and I will cause the Egyptians to look favorably on you. They will give you gifts when you go, so you will not leave empty-handed. Every Israelite woman will ask for articles of silver and gold and fine clothing from her Egyptian neighbors and from the foreign women in their houses. You will dress your sons and daughters with these, stripping the Egyptians of their wealth. Whoa. That is just so much to unpack. That God, this is like one of the first times that God is coming in and really speaking a huge list of demands and explanations and just word to Moses. He hasn't said this much to anybody else at all in the Bible up to this point. He hasn't given any explanation or any, really foretelling of exactly what is going to happen to anybody. But he's trying to warn him that, like, even when you go, you will be met back with some adversity, some pushback will happen when you come to the Pharaoh and tell him that you want to take your people on a 3-day journey into the wilderness. But you have to be steadfast and know that, like, I'm going to be there as well, and I'm going to, have miracles for the Pharaoh to convince him, because his heart is being made hard until he can fully show his power in the situation. So it's just amazing to read. This is the most that God's talked. And this is the prophecy that Moses is getting from the burning bush. So the Lord shows Moses how to do a couple tricks to show the people, who are enslaved leaders, and convince them that he is actually in conversation with God, to convince them that God sent him to do this. And one of them was turning his stick into a snake. The other was transforming his hand from being old and decrepit into healthy and just as healthy as the rest of his body. And another one was turning water into blood, water from the Nile into blood. So Moses was like, okay, you gave me these, you showed me how to do these miracles, but I still feel like I'm not a good speaker, and I've never been a good speaker, and I don't know how to speak. So he's pleading with the Lord, Lord, please send anyone else. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. All right, he said, what about your brother, Aaron the Levite? I know he speaks well, and look, he's on his way to meet you now. He will be delighted to see you. Talk to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be with both of you as you speak, and I will instruct you both in what to do. Aaron will be your spokesman to the people. He will be your mouthpiece, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say. And take your shepherd's staff with you and use it to perform the miraculous signs that I have shown you. So what do you think he does? He goes to Egypt and he performs the miracles. And he goes to Pharaoh. Pharaoh doesn't listen. He says, Moses and Aaron, why are you distracting the people from their task? Get back to work. Look, there are many of your people in the land, and you are stopping them from doing their work. He doesn't care. Can you see me? Hold on. He doesn't care not one bit. He's not concerned with what God is saying to him, because he doesn't accept the God of Jacob, Isaac, and Joseph as his God. So it doesn't matter that he's performing miracles and telling him of the power of God, because he doesn't accept him as God. So the next thing that happens is Pharaoh decides to make the work harder for all the slaves of Egypt, all of the Israelite people. He says, do not supply any more straw. I didn't know I was going to say that like that. Anyway, any more straw for making bricks. Make the people get it themselves, but still require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. That is why they're crying out, let us go offer sacrifices to our God. Load them down with more work. Make them sweat. This will teach them to listen to lies. So the Israelite foreman went to the Pharaoh and pleaded with him. Please don't treat your servants like this, they begged. We are given no straw, but the slave drivers still demand make bricks. We are being beaten, but it isn't our fault. Your own people are to blame. But Pharaoh shouted, you are just lazy. That's why you're saying, let us go and offer sacrifices to the Lord. Now get back to work. No straw will be given to you, but you must produce the full quota of bricks. The Israelite foremen could see that they were in serious trouble when they were told, you must not reduce the number of bricks you make each day. As they left the Pharaoh's court, they confronted Moses and Aaron, who were waiting outside for them. The foreman said to them, may the Lord judge and punish you for making us stink before Pharaoh and his officials. You have put a sword in their hands and excuse to kill us. Then Moses went back to the Lord and protested, why have you brought all this trouble on your own people, Lord? Why did you send me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh as your spokesperson, he has been even more brutal to your people, and you have done nothing to rescue them. He's working. He's trying to do something to rescue them, but it is not as easy as 1, 2, 3. Then the Lord told Moses, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. When he feels the force of my strong hand, he will let the people go. In fact, he will force them to leave his land. And God said to Moses, I am Yahweh, the Lord. I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as El Shaddai, El Shaddai, I'm not saying that right. El Shaddai, God Almighty. But I did not reveal my name, Yahweh, to them. And I reaffirm my covenant with you. Under its terms, I promised to give them the land of Canaan, where they were living as foreigners. You can be sure that I have heard the groans of the people of Israel, who are now slaves to the Egyptians, and I am well aware of my covenant with them. Therefore I say to the people of Israel, I am the Lord. I will free you from your oppression, and I will rescue you from your slavery in Egypt. I will redeem you with a powerful arm and acts of judgment. I will claim you as my own people. I will be your God. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God, who has freed you from your oppression in Egypt. I will bring you into a land I swore to give you, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and I will give you as your very own possession. I am the Lord. So Moses told the people of Israel what the Lord had said, but they refused to listen anymore. They had become too discouraged by the brutality of their slavery. Then the Lord said to Moses, Go back to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and tell him, let the people of Israel leave his country. But Lord, Moses objected, my own people won't listen to me anymore. How can I expect Pharaoh to listen? I'm such a clumsy speaker. But the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron and gave them orders for the Israelites and the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord commanded Moses and Aaron to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt. So, Aaron and Moses led the people of Israel out of Egypt like an army. It was lead the people of Israel, The Lord said, lead the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt like an army. It was Moses and Aaron who spoke to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, about leading the people of Israel out of Egypt. When the Lord spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, he said to him, I am the Lord. Tell Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, everything I am telling you. But Moses argued with the Lord, saying, I cannot do it. I am such a clumsy speaker. Why should Pharaoh listen to me? You gotta believe in yourself. When you're ordained by God, you have to believe in yourself. You have to have faith. You have to be strong in the face of opposition. You have to stand up and know that you have internal strength. Even if you haven't been a good speaker for all of your life, now that you have literally seen the face of God, he still doesn't believe that he will be able to speak. And that just speaks to all of us, how we have to believe in ourselves. Because it's not just the fate of you that rests in your hands. It's the fate of all your people, that the people that relate to you, the people that are connected and related, and the people that relate to you all depend on you being their spokesperson and standing up for them. Like, Moses doesn't want to go in front of Pharaoh and speak, but his people are suffering every single day. And the people will continue to suffer unless he gets that courage along with his brother Aaron and speaks up. It starts with you deciding, I can do it by the grace of God, and having faith that God will guide your words, God will guide your steps, God will make sure that you are ordained by him, as long as you are leaning into him and listening to what he's saying to you. That's a word for myself. Me with this YouTube channel, I gotta listen to God. I gotta believe that God is really walking with me. Let's go into prayer. God, thank you so much. I just want to say that first and foremost. Thank you so much because you give me the courage to be the woman that I want to be. At a time where there are so many people who are confused, abused, misused, hurt, damaged, trifling, and fighting for their lives. You chose me out of everybody to be the person to speak up and say, God is the answer. And I just appreciate you so much because you could have forgotten about me. And there were times where I felt like you forgot about me and I forgot about you. But we made our way back to one another. And now I know never again will I submit myself to any other God. Will I proclaim the name of my Savior besides the name of you, God? Thank you. Please continue to use me. Continue to use me to help. Continue to use me to heal. Continue to use me to bridge the gap. If I can just help one person feel better about their day, if I can just help one person draw closer to God, let it be so, God. Thank you for everything that you have done for me, and thank you for everything that you will do for me. Because I know I'm not perfect and I know I don't deserve it. I can never deserve your mercy, your grace, your love. I do not deserve it. But I will keep trying to make myself worthy, God. Thank you. I love you. Amen. If you made it this far in the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It makes me want to continue to do this, and I would just appreciate the support. God bless.